My name is Nick. I'm an alcoholic. Welcome, everybody. Just a reminder, Food and Fellowship starts at 8 o'clock. There's always some good food over there. Please show up and eat some of that food. That's what it's there for. A couple quick announcements. We have a couple other meetings that go on here. One is on Monday night at 6 o'clock. It's a step meeting. On Monday nights at 6 o'clock in this very room. Powerful meeting. It's a step meeting. We bring a speaker in, talks for about a half an hour on the step, and then we share upon it. And on Thursday nights at 7:30, just right up the street at the Salem Church on Court Street, we have a big book meeting every Thursday night at 7:30. Also, show up early, 7 o'clock, got there, got coffee going, and all are welcome. Not too much else to announce. We're glad you're all here. And we're going to have Brian come up and chair the meeting. So let's get this going. Thank you.
My name is Brian. I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street at 8:30 in Doylestown, PA. Food and Fellowship starts at 8. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 right here. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name? Hey Samantha, welcome. Sam, welcome. Greg, welcome. Ian, welcome. 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 In the back. Kevin, welcome. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with a working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. Are there any announcements for the good of AA? We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purpose of big books and CDs to help those who can't afford them can put donations in the jar on the table marked Big Book and CD donations. If you would like a CD of any speaker, past or present, see me or any home group member before or after the meeting. They are available free of charge. And I would like to welcome Sherry to read the preamble.
Hi, I'm Sherry, I'm an alcoholic. The AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. I've asked Jay to come up and read the AA 12 Steps of Recovery.
Good evening. My name is Jay and I am an alcoholic. Here are the AA 12 Steps of Recovery. Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
The seventh tradition, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At this time, I would like to pass the basket. We have no dues or fees, but we have expenses. This group provides many services. Your donations cover rent, big books, CDs, events, workshops, etc. There's absolutely no smoking on church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, I would like to introduce a good friend of the Conscious Contact speaker group, Ricky D.
What's up, guys? My name is Rick. I'm an alcoholic. It's good to be here. Doylestown is not only a big part of my recovery, but it's a big part of my life. The people I've met up here in the last, 8 or 9 years have really been a big part of my recovery and my life, and they're some of my best friends that I have today. That just goes to show, like I always say to the guys I work with, from Doylestown to Delaware, my AA life, the groups I'm part of, is big. And now, at one time, I only thought AA was in Northeast Philly. I didn't even know AA was outside of Philly at one time. That's how naive I was to how big AA is and what it's about. My sobriety date is November 29th of 2005, and I have a home group. My home group is the Stepping Stones. It's an inner city clubhouse in Northeast Philly. I know some of you guys have been down there. It's an inner city clubhouse, so if you can imagine what an inner city clubhouse looks like.
Sorry.
It's all right, man. We used to be open 24 hours a day, but we're not open like that no more. We do have a 9 o'clock meeting and a nighttime meeting, and sometimes the business meetings can get pretty crazy. Not lately, but at one time, we could spend an hour and a half, on where to move a cabinet. We'd have pros and cons about whether we should have Sweet and Low or Splenda or both, and we'd argue immensely and vigorously about those things. And I used to get upset, and I would call my sponsor, and he would say, that's a sign of a good home group, where you can disagree and you can discuss things and have heated debates, and then still walk out and go to lunch together as a group and be friendly. And I have a sponsor. I've had 3 guys that I've worked with through the process, and 1 woman I talk to on a bi-weekly basis or a weekly basis sometimes. My first sponsor, Danny, he's the guy that interrupted my death. He got in between me and a drink and told me about me more than I ever cared to know about. And he has since relapsed and can't make his way back to Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's probably the most powerful lesson that he taught me. That we can't get so sober we can't drink again. And that we're not going to be so human that we outgrow our humanness or our defects of character. And I watched him struggle for the last 16 years. And he can't make his way back in AA, and it's heartbreaking. whenever I see him, I just went up to him and give him a big giant hug. And I asked him, we're here, we're gonna come back, and I'm good. And that's all I can do. And I have another guy, Chris, that will always be part of my life. And I'm currently working with a guy named Scott. And I talk to him every Tuesday night. I have inventory written. I call him at 6:30 on Tuesday night, and we talk about my resentments and my fears I had up until that week. And it's kept me plugged in because I tell you, I was busy in AA, and I think a lot of us were, and then COVID hit, and everything just stopped. And as I stand up here tonight, I feel like I'm brand new to AA all over again. I'm having some amazing experiences, and it's nothing to do with me. It's the guys I work with, the guys I hang out with. They're having amazing experiences, and they're traveling around, and they're going to different meetings, and they're sponsoring guys, and that's why I keep coming back. When I see that stuff going on, it just lights my insides up, and that's what it's about. But for about a year, it just stopped, and I was really wondering what was going to happen, if this COVID thing lasted, how it was affecting me in AA. And I'm glad to see that we're back in action. Thank God that there's meetings like this and guys like Ron and people like you guys that give a guy like me a chance to get better here. And I'll always be grateful for the fellowship. I wasn't a big fellowship guy. I was not a fellowship guy for the first 10, 11 years of my sobriety. I was a big book guy. I was the AA big book suicide bomber. Yeah, you duct tape 8 big books around my chest. I'd slide into meetings, I'd blow the whole meeting up. Tell everybody they're doing it wrong and don't know what they're talking about, and that's not the way it is today. Today I respect everybody's opinions on sobriety or AA, and I think I've grown a lot in that area. Because at one time, not an old time ago, Rick, that's great you had an experience with the big book and the 12 steps, but we're tired of hearing about it. And it's time to go learn the history. Put the big book lawyer stuff down and go learn about the history and have a new experience. And that's what I did, and I had a brand new experience. And some days I feel like I'm brand new. I think there's this misconception in Alcoholics Anonymous that if I go through the 12 steps and I practice 10, 11, and 12, and I have a home group and I have a sponsor, that I'm not going to have no problems. And I discovered that's not my experience. Or have any bad days. That's not my experience. I think if I go through the 12 steps, I stay in 10, 11, 12, I have a home group and a sponsor, and I sponsor guys, I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm going to learn from them mistakes. I think that's the difference. Because people, use that word untreated a lot. Oh, he suffered untreated, I'll pray for him and all that stuff. And there's been days in the last 5 years where I've woken up and that alcoholism was all over me. I can't explain it. And I call my sponsor, I'm like, I'm really untreated today. He says, stop telling yourself that because you're doing everything AA asks you to do. It's just the alcoholism. That's it. It's alcoholism. We have a way out of that. So when I wake up in the morning and I have alcoholism all over me, because I do wake up every day with a fresh case of alcoholism. Whenever I wake up in the morning, or I wake up from a nap, I have a fresh case of alcoholism. It's one day at a time, and I wake up with it. Some days it's on me. It's like, we're here, let's talk, and the voices are going. And if I was going to be really honest, there hasn't been one day in the last 17 years where I woke up, I did not think about calling out of work. It's a struggle for me every day. I wake up, I start calculating my sick time. I got 162 days of sick, and I have 200 annual time. I could probably take off for the next 6 months. But then I get on my knees, I say my prayers, and I just get quiet, and I know when it's time to go. And sometimes it looks like sitting on the edge of my bed. I could be on my knees. I could be brushing my teeth and getting centered. And I just know it's time to go. And I usually don't call out work. Although I'm getting at that point now where I'm getting ready to retire. And it's getting real difficult to go into work. I don't know if it's normal or not. I haven't talked to anybody about it yet, but it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. I have a job that's demanding. I have a job that's physical. And I am not built like that anymore to go in and physically labor for 8 hours a day, and it's wearing on my body. Because I'm going to be the guy that retires. I'll retire at 59 years old and be dead when I'm 60. That's what's going to happen. I'm not going to enjoy anything. 2 of my cousins just had strokes, and they're like 2 years older than me. Days apart, they had a stroke, and they're not good. And I'm like, oh, that's my genes. I'm like, there it goes. I'm going to retire, and I'm going to be in a stroke. I'll be paralyzed. I'm going to be able to have no fun. And that's what my head tells me. That's just the way my head operates. I don't always have to listen to it. I've learned today we can rewrite the story. We can rewrite the endings. Fear and worry is just my imagination going in the wrong direction. Worry is just something negative that I'm going to bring into my life. And I do worry. It's part of my DNA. I am my father. My father worried about everything. My father paid our mortgage months in advance. Our electric bill was paid. Everything, all the bills were always paid. That's not me. I don't have anything of my father. All the goods. I have all the negative stuff. And I have nothing on my mom. So I'm already backed up against the wall with my internal makeup, part of my DNA, because there's also a misconception in AA that the 12 steps will clean my DNA out. It doesn't. And I think I've learned over the years to be okay with who I am. I don't want to be anybody else today. For a long time in AA, I would come into a room and I would see one of my friends or a guy that was a mentor or somebody helping me in my home group. I want to be like him. I want to be him. And there's not one person on earth today I want to be other than myself. And I think that's a growth piece. I've learned over the years to be okay with myself, the failures, the flaws, the defects, the brokenness, the mistakes, everything. That's what brings me to the table with the new guy. If I have money, like someone I'm struggling, I just bought it. I can still make very bad decisions. I bought a house, but I never should have bought a house. I bought a house in the worst time to buy a house in 130 years. And I got to buy a house. I bought a house. Now I got a house. I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, and I had a friend of mine that offered me to, this is the love, and I don't always feel it because there's a wall up sometimes between me and you guys. And I had a sponsee that offered to pay 6 months of my mortgage, and it looks tempting. I know if I took that money, I probably wouldn't pay the mortgage. I'd probably go to Myrtle Beach. And I said, if I can't pay my mortgage now with what I got, I'm not going to pay my mortgage in 6 months. And I'm going to have to owe you this money back. And that's not part of the deal. So there's another growth. That's another growth. Because I would have took that money. I would not have paid my mortgage. And but I sat down with him. And I'm going to sit down with him again this week. I'm going to have a budget out. And that's just life. I never had that responsibility before in my life. And I'm looking forward to that challenge. Because at one time, I'm walking around Kensington Avenue homeless with nothing. And now I got a house. I kept saying, going through the settlement period, I can't wait to cut my grass. Can't wait to cut my grass, have a driveway, big backyard. I cut the grass once, I'm never going to do that again. It's crazy. I cut the grass on Thursday, I almost died. I was covered with I felt like a piece of straw. I said, yeah, this ain't fun. But like they say, my problems are somebody else's prayers. They wish they had my problems. And I'm very grateful for the things that I have today, because at one time I had nothing. Not a friend, not a penny, anything. Not a God. Like I said, my sobriety date is November 29th of 2005. My first AA meeting was in 1999. That's 6 years of working step 0 in AA. And I'll tell you what, they were the worst 6 years of my life. Wow, I'm in AA. My life got so bad in them 6 years, I look back on those years, thank God they're a blur. They say, we will not regret the past. That's not my experience. I do regret some of the things that I've done. I don't beat myself up over it. It doesn't keep me up at night anymore. I do regret some stuff. And what I did to my parents in those 6 years. My mom made 2 mistakes. She had me and she loved me. And that's how I feel sometimes. Because she did not ask. She did not ask for what was coming her way. Every girlfriend I dated did not ask for what was coming their way. Any coworker, any boss, any friend did not ask for what was coming their way with Rick around. And in them 12 steps, in that 4th step, I saw me in their lives and what I did to them. And some of it's pretty painful. Some of it's not cleaned up. Some people won't reach out. Won't reach back. I've reached out to every person I could possibly see alive. I owe amends to them. Some people just refuse to see me still. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. Some amends I just gotta live with, that I can't make them. If there was a book that needed to be written or a magazine that critiqued rehabs, I qualify for that job. I think I've been in every rehab that's been around, not the new ones today, all these new PHP thing, all of them, I don't even know what they're called anymore, but the basic ones, Horsham numerous times, Living Green 4 or 5 times, Bowling Green twice, Horsham Clinic a few times, Friends Hospital. People used to put, some of the staff thought I worked there. Thought I was part of the maintenance crew. Bowling Green was great. It was on the golf course. I liked the golf. It was on the golf course. It was beautiful. Too many rules. You had to make your own bed every day. You had to clean your room. Way too much work. Living Green was nice. Too many groups. Way too many groups. 9 groups a day. It was like, you gotta be kidding me. They wouldn't let you sleep in. Horsham was always steamy and hot. I don't know, it was just always hot. Living Green's got a great salad bar, good food. I've been all them rehabs, I've been every one of them rehabs multiple times. And every one of them rehabs, I swore to God, and I swore to my family, and I swore to myself, I would never drink again. I would never drink, I would never drug, and I meant it with everything in me. And some days, sometimes 13 months was the longest I got. Sometimes 10 months, many 6 months, many 90 days. Sometimes the same day I got out of rehab, I found myself drinking again. And I said to myself, I don't know how this can be possible. I'm the guy in rehab where the rehab trusts me with the new guy. Like I show him around the rehab. Like I was in the living room one time for like 70 days. I begged him not to let me go. I knew once I got out, I was just going. And it took them an extra 20 days or whatever to find me a place to go. And I went to that recovery house they sent me out. I walked in and I walked right out. Like what happened to that high resolve? What happened to that oomph that I had? And I understand today that I have no power, choice, or control whether I ever drink again or not. I stand up here today, I don't know if I'm ever going to drink again or not. I don't know. I do know, I'm not afraid to relapse though. I know that over the last 16 and a half years, I haven't thought about drinking. And that's AA. We survive all these trials and tribulations. Our book's pretty clear. We're not going to survive the low spots and trials ahead if I don't grow spiritually. And I need stuff to happen for me to grow spiritually. For the first 11 years of my recovery, I ran around AA. I ran 11 recovery houses in Philly. I had a full-time job. I was busy. But I wasn't growing. I wasn't growing because I was being watched. I don't know about anybody else. I detox well, I rehab well, I psych ward well, and I jail well because when I'm in an environment like that and I'm being watched, I always do good. For a reason. I have a reason. At Living Green, I always did good. I wanted an extra bag of chips and some ice cream every night. I didn't want to get my ass kicked in jail, so I just behaved. Right? I'm in a recovery house. I don't want to get thrown out because I don't know where else to go, so I behave. I follow the rules. But the minute you let me out, left to my own, I revert right back to old Rick because there's no change. And I ran around AA for 11 years in this sobriety, and I didn't change. And then everything started to happen. I got diagnosed with cancer. My mom and dad got sick. My mom and dad, who didn't talk to me for the first 5 years of this sobriety, and my nephews and nieces, who didn't talk to me for the first 9 or 10, asked me to move back in with my parents. And I'm like, no, can't do it. And I was just afraid. And I called up my sponsor. He was like, dude, you know what you got to do. My dad had a stroke. He's like, dude, you know what you got to do. I said, I live around the corner from my home group. It's 1 minute off of 95. I get to work in like 6 minutes. I said, it's just convenient if I don't do it. I have other siblings that can do that. And he said, you know what you got to do. So I had a great idea. I said, let me call one of my new guys, 3 days sober. He'll tell me what to do. I call him up. I'm like, yo, my parents want me to move back in with them. I'm 52 years old. What do you think? He said, you know what you got to do, dude. You got to do it. I'm like, that was not the answer that I was looking for. You know, it's kind of hard to date. Hey, you want to go back to my parents' house? We'll watch Netflix, and every once in a while we can change their diapers. And so I said, this is going to be bad. And the first year it was. I want to be gut level honest. I don't know how to take care of nobody. I can't even take care of myself, let alone anybody else. And I was resentful of my brother and my sister because they weren't really helping me out much. And for the first year, it was a struggle. And there has to be a change here. Something has to change inside of me, and circumstances allow me to do that. Pain allows me the willingness to change. And I remember doing the dishes one night, and my sponsor says, what are you doing? What are you doing tonight? I said, I'm doing the dishes for my mom and dad. Oh, you're a good son. He said, how you feel on the inside? I was dying on the inside. I was so angry that I had selfishly inconvenienced. The people that brought me in this world, I found myself being divinely inconvenienced by them. And there was a shift. My mom had dementia, started early phases of dementia. And I called her at a lucid interval. And she told me she loved me for the first time. My dad told me he loved me. And I started to change. I started to change where I don't know how it happened. I don't know when it happened. But I recognize that now I have two purposes. Primary purpose, and now I got this purpose as a son, the son that I always wanted to be. And here's an opportunity to do that. And I did that. And you guys taught me how to do that. So as a result of the amends process, you guys gave me my parents back. We painted mom's nails every Thursday night. I took my dad golfing. I dropped him off the golf course so he can golf with his grandsons. He became my best friend after my mom died. Because it's not the big things. You know, your parents died. It's got to be that. That's why I feel this way. Or it's like I just got dumped again. That's why I feel this way. Or lost my job. That's why I feel this way. It's easy to point to those things when something big happens because it's not the big things that take us out. It's the accumulation of the little things. The little resentments, the little fears, the little bickering, the little hurts that were never addressed always took me out. Because when the big things happen, God's there and you guys are there. And what I noticed is there's 2 deaths in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. If I would have died between 1999 and 2005, an alcoholic death, I would have been buried in Ben Salem Pauper Cemetery. The state would have to pay for it. No pallbearers. It would just been no one even would have cared. Then I discovered another alcoholic death. So when you come in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and you get about a year sober, and you get a couple of years sober, and you're 5 years sober, you have a girlfriend, you get a house, you usually get a job in treatment. That's what I always want. I want to work in treatment. I want to be that dude, right? You get the dog and the cat. The dog named Bill and the cat named Lois. You get the 2 cars in the garage. You go to Planet Fitness and you get the tan and you get worked out. You're working. You get maybe a couple tattoos, and everything's good, but you don't feel right on the inside, and there's nothing to point to. Everything's going good, and I just don't feel right. Then what? That's alcoholism creeping back in to take me out. It doesn't matter, it'll wait. I'm living in a recovery house in Kensington. I relapse. It's like throwing a match into a dumpster. Who cares? But alcoholism will wait. It don't get me in the first year, it'll wait for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 10th year. I have friends of mine who I never thought would drink again, who drank and are dead now. Guys who helped me, spent a lot of time with me. I never ever thought that they would drink again. And they drank again and they're dead. Just like that. They're here 1 minute and they're gone the next. Like, how did that happen? See, I know today that I can't treat an inside spiritual malady with anything I can touch. You know, the shine of stuff wears off fast for me. And that's one thing I have to keep, that's always been in the forefront. That's an inventory question, an old idea. Because what's happening is, the pain is just an old idea that's dying. You know, getting in a relationship, break up, it's an old idea that's just dead. What I wanted to happen is gone. And there's gonna be another one. We get do-overs here. And if I don't understand what I could have did better, or what I should have done instead, the same pattern is going to keep on happening. Sometimes it's not about how we are in a relationship. How do we leave a relationship? No one ever talks about that. How about the wreckage of our present? We always talk about the wreckage of our past. What's the wreckage of our present? There's going to be a wreckage of our past if it's left unchecked, unaccountable for. You know, in 2005, I was homeless. I'm panhandling up in Northeast Philly. I don't know how I even got there. And when I panhandle, I don't want to be out there. Like I said, I don't like to work. Panhandling is a lot of work. I don't think anybody's ever panhandled, but it's a pain. It's a lot. You gotta have a sales pitch. You got 2 backup plans. And I don't ask for change. I ask for 5s. So I want to get in and out. I don't want to be outside of Wawa all day. Got things to do. And I found myself panhandling, red line the boulevard, and I was a mess. I had a tuxedo. I came out of jail in a tuxedo that was just shredded. Both knees were missing, both elbows were missing out of the white shirt I had. The white shirt, all the buttons were missing. Had the black crack cans that went across this way, blood down here, and it just smelled like booze. And that's what I look like. I haven't bathed or shaved in months, and I'm asking for people for money, and I'm not doing so well. And I made my sales pitch to this young girl. She was about this big. She's another little girl about this big. I'm assuming it was her daughter. I don't know. And I'm making my beeline at them, and she sees me coming. She grabs that girl. She had one of them hats on with the long strings and the big tassel, whatever it is on top. And she got her by the ears, and she just threw her in the back seat of the car. And she had locked the door by hand. She didn't have one of them automatic. I'll tell you, every time she hit a lock, it was like a bell rang in my head. And she just stared at me with this look that was she was frightened. And I caught myself, I caught my reflection in the window. I just went, and I had 50 cents in my hand. And my plan was, I'm gonna call my buddy Vic, and if he don't answer, I'm just gonna throw myself in front of the next bus or truck that comes down the boulevard. And because I already had one failed suicide attempt. This is what alcoholism looks like in my life at 13 months sober. I'm 13 months sober. Got the respect of my family back. I got a girlfriend. I got my job back. I got 2 vehicles. And I just can't do it. It's too heavy. There's no relief in drinking. Drinking stopped working. And one time I drank, it lit me up, allowed me to come out and play, fit in and be part of it. It was magical and magnificent at one time. And the last 4 or 5 times that I relapsed, I drank and my head still raced. I was getting physically drunk but staying emotionally sober. It's a horrible place to be for an alcoholic. And I would drink and there'd be self-pity, and I would drink and there'd be self-loathing. I'd drink and I'd be resentful and afraid. It never was like that. And alcohol stops working and I can't pull off sobriety, so what's the next best thing? I walked in my parents' house at 13 months sober, almost to the day, and hung myself in their bathroom. And if you look closely at my face, you'll see the remnants of that. I fell 6 feet onto the metal tracking of the tub, of the glass shower doors. And I laid there, I was bleeding out. And this is how AA works. The 2 firefighters that came to get me were in AA. And there was no compassion whatsoever for them 2 guys. I remember I was bleeding out. I had this big giant rope burn on my neck. It was just, and my nose, my eye sockets were all busted up. My nose was all split. I was just bleeding everywhere. And they were screaming at me. You know how selfish you are? I'm like, oh. I had no idea what I just did. I had no idea. I have no memory of what happened other than my mom finding me and screaming. I remember that, and the rest was a blur. You would think that would keep me sober. Allow my mom to see that, and it didn't. So I'm not afraid to kill myself. And I said, "We'll do it. Jump from the bus." You know, and my buddy Vic answered. He never answered his phone. Never answered his phone back then. What, the flip phones, he just never even carried it around with him, but he answered. He said, "If you want help, you get to my house." I said, "You know how far I am from your house? His house is by the stepping stones. I'm at Red Line the Boulevard. It's 7.5 miles. I Googled it when I got sober. I said, "I am not." I said, "You want to?" I said, "You're supposed to come pick me up. You're AA." He said, "If you want help, you'll get to my house." So there's the first resentment I had in this sobriety. Okay, I'm walking down the boulevard looking like that. I said, "Hell, I just got off of Pennypack Park and it was snow now. I'm just going to live off the land." If anybody that knows me, I am not built like that. If I were to go camping, it has to be McDonald's within 3 miles. So I got to his house. He took one look at me and he goes, "Dude, you ain't living here, dude." My plan was live with him. He's like, "You ain't living here, dude. I got kids here. You're a mess." He said, "If I have a house around the corner you can stay at if you want." I know the house. I painted it in that 13 months of sobriety. I said, "You still have that house?" He said, "Yeah, I was saving it for you." It was a lie. So I went from having, it was a big house, 6-bedroom house, big giant Tacony house, one of them old brownstone ones. He said, "You stay here as long as you want, but you can't drink and you got to go to AA." I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to last long here. So I'm not going back to AA." He said, "You don't have to go back to AA, but you can't, I'm not going to live here." So you can stay tonight though. So I'll stay tonight. He left, another member of AA came in, carrying 2 big books. That's just what you want to see with 0 days sober. And "I'm here to offer you spiritual help." I said, know what help would be? $1,200 loan that I'm not going to pay back. That would be great. If you had a lawyer who would do some pro bono work, that would be even better. If your girlfriend had a friend that would go out with me, that would be great. And what I didn't get none of that. What I got was, I got a sponsor, a big book, and a lot of oodles and noodles for the next 6 months. And he told me the truth about me. And he asked me 2 questions. That suicide attempt, my face, I look like a cat. If anybody's been in the Philadelphia prison system, like they don't treat us, they don't care about us detoxers. I got absolutely no medical treatment for my face. My whole face was infected. And I had stitches of staples like hanging out. And he's like, "Do me a favor, Rick. Before I leave, because I'm going to leave, you're not serious. Go upstairs in that bathroom mirror and ask yourself, look at yourself, look at yourself. Good. Ask yourself if you're okay. If you can say that you're okay, I'll take the 2 big books, you'll never see me again, and I wish you luck." And like a 5-year-old, I stomped up the steps, and I just broke. I looked at myself and went, whew, I broke down. And I ran back downstairs to that guy, and I latched onto him. I said, "Dude, I need help." He said, "There you go. There's your bottom." Because I think everyone's bottoms here is the same. The bottom for me, a lot of guys I work with, is when we ask for help and we actually mean it, and we take the action and it follows. There's always new bottoms. The bottoms have bottoms, and the bottoms have bottoms, and the bottoms have bottoms. I've hit bottoms in AA sober, emotional bottoms. You know, he said, another question to save my life. He says, "Let me ask you a question, Einstein." He used to call me Einstein a lot. I thought it was a compliment, but I know that it's not. He said, "Let me ask you a question. Another question before I leave. Do you think drinking's your problem and drugs your problem, or do you think sobriety's your problem?" I said, "Dan, I don't like all the questions, and drinking's my problem. I just had 13 months sober, and I drank again, and now I've never been this low." And he said, "Oh, you'll go lower." He said, All right, he walked out. And he got what every good sponsor wanted. He got me to chase him. I said, well, I really wanted a cigarette, but I said, dude, what was that, the wrong answer? He said, think about it, Rick. You had 13 months sober and you drank again. How could drinking be your problem? You ain't touched it in 13 months. Because we hear stuff in AA like, put a drink down, you'll be okay. That's not my experience. I put a drink down, the further I get away from that drink, the worse I get. Unless I have a sponsor and I'm accountable and I have some stuff to work on. And that changed my life, just like that. That's why I'm here today. For the first time, my whole life made sense. I've been fighting booze. I've been trying to not drink so much I drank. I'm trying to fight alcohol, and alcohol ain't the problem. My problem is sobriety, is my internal condition. And people say, let go, let God. I remember being on the Stones, with 1 day sober, someone tells me that, I want to choke the life out of them. Let go, let God, Rick. How do you do that with 1 day sober? That's cruel to tell somebody that. He has 35 years, retired, trust fund, never worked a day in his life, parents independently wealthy, no problems in the world, no kids, trust God. I'd find your life, I'd trust God too. I know today that's the 10th step, and the 11th step is how we let go, let God. So I told the guys I work with, when someone tells you that, one of these guys will tell you, just don't drink, make meetings, you'll be a winner. I say, go. What I want you to do is, when someone says, get over it, or something like that, hit him across the legs with an aluminum baseball bat. Tell him to walk it off. Because they're asking me to do something that I can't do. Guys are telling me, don't drink. Okay. I don't know how not to. No one ever showed me that before. No one ever said, write a 4-step, have your insides rearranged, go make all your amends, spend 30 minutes a day with God, sponsor guys who probably won't drink again. They told me I didn't want it bad enough. So when I drank, I went back to these guys, you're not serious. Well, I just came out of my Horsham clinic again. I'm serious. I'm not saying I didn't hear the message. I'm not saying they weren't carrying the message. At that time, it just wasn't getting through. So I met this kid. This kid was younger than me, which pissed me off. And he taught me about alcoholism. He taught me about what I suffered from. And he says, only one thing has to change, Rick. I said, what's that, Dan? He said, everything. So he said, but you can't change that. Without God, I can't. Without me, he won't. I need to cooperate. And how I cooperate is by working these 12 steps to put myself in a position to receive help. And, and in that recovery house, it wasn't even a recovery house, it was a house. It was just a house. And there was no heat for the first couple of days, there was no TV, there was no Wi-Fi. I get guys in recovery houses now, first question they ask, is there Wi-Fi? I'm like, dude, you're dying. Like, dude, you're dying, you want to worry about Wi-Fi? And I had nothing going on, a whole lot of stuff going on. So he says, perfect, you're in a perfect spot to go through these steps in order with momentum to have this experience. He knew I needed to get to amends. He knew that I felt horrible about what I did to my family. And he knew that, and he actually read the big book. He got a hold of my family. Very rare, it happened, someone reads the big book, he actually did. And he went there, he made an appointment for me to make my amends to my parents. And he knew I needed to have an experience. In that 4th step, I saw me on paper for the first time, and I didn't like what I saw. That's how I know it's not me. I used to hear people say that, everything on our 4th step, it's not really you. They never told me why. And I had this experience on my own not too long ago, going through my own, another 4th step. And because if it was really me, I wouldn't have cared about the harms I've done. If that was really who I was, I wouldn't care about the stuff on that paper. That's how I know it's not me. That deep down inside, there's a God in there, because I've had this other experience lately with the power of God where, you know, a lot of guys I'm working with, a lot of guys I hang out with in the first couple of years of sobriety, and they just hammer home the God thing, and they're always questions, great debates, always talking, car rides or on the back of the porch, in the backyard or whatever, we're always talking about God, and I thought about it, like, how do I know? How do I know? Because when I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. That's not taught. That's not a learned behavior. Our big book says deep down inside every one of us is the fundamental idea of God. So whoever created this universe wanted me to get to know it better, how would it do that? Put it down inside me. No one's ever going to look there. And these 12 steps never diminished me as a person. I thought, sobriety, it's going to suck. This is going to be horrible. Can't drink ever again. This is going to be brutal. I know today that AA and the 12 steps and the big book and everything that we do here will never diminish me as a human being. It's always enhanced my spirituality. AA doesn't take the fun out of life. For me, what it's done was, I'm aware of the behaviors that make me feel bad about myself. And I can't stop those behaviors. I can't suppress them. Some people can. You'll hear, some people are super sober, just ask them. That's not my experience. Like I said, I've learned from those mistakes. Recently getting dumped again, not a bad word. No, never let that. I leave relationships. There's usually restraining orders come out like Eagles penalty flags in the Eagles Dallas game. Right? That's the proper way to end the relationship. If I can't have you, we'll make it tough for anybody else. I'm texting her. I send it. Well, I start the text. The sponsee calls, and there's God interrupting the whole thing. What I do is I'll answer the phone and then send it while I'm on the phone. And I knew I just messed up and went through, but then the bubbles come up. Oh, no, here it comes. And there's none of that going on. None of that going on. And that's from the help from the woman that I've been working with for the last couple of years, who's also in AA, who's helped me a lot. Because, I learned about women from men. Think about that for a second. So in prayer and meditation, it dawned on me, I should probably seek a woman to teach me about women. A woman in AA who's grounded and long time sober. I'm like, I ran it by a couple people. It makes sense. I learned about my sex ideals, bartended at 18 nightclubs in Philly. Think about that for a minute. Right? In that 4-step, I saw me. I didn't like it. He knew I needed to get to amends. And how do you make amends to those parents that we steamroll? I got sponsees whose parents are taking care of their children, of their grandchildren. And they're resentful at their parents. I'm like, man, I said, dude, you're lucky. You're lucky they're not in foster care. You gotta get to see that. I understand. You feel like they took them from you. They didn't take them from you. They're looking out for that child while you're doing crazy stuff. The children are in danger. And we got to put that on paper. And why they have them? Here's a crazy idea. Send them money. Well, I'm not going to send no money till I see my girl. I said, maybe if you send money and they know you're serious, then they'll let you see your daughter. And it always works. It always works. Making amends is where I think the whole program has changed my heart. Something has to happen here. I came into you guys, my heart was black, it was cold, it was a block of ice. I had no compassion, I had no ability to love. It was there, it just couldn't come out. I was so blocked off. And moving in with my parents softened me up. what an experience the men's process is. You know, I turned my mom into a liar. My mom never lied in her life. Mom never cursed in her life. Until my last relapse. And she started cursing God, cursing my dad. My mom and dad, I was about a month sober, and my sister came out of the graciousness of her heart and dropped off the cell phone and some cigarettes to me at that house. And she said, Mommy and Daddy ain't doing good. It's your fault. I took my mom's grandkids away from their grandmother because my mom was so worried about me out there dying. Never looked at it like that before. And how about those amends we make? I went back to every girlfriend I could. One girl I dated she was one of 14. That was a hard family to make amends to. They were all from Juniata. They were tough guys. And I had to go back here with the little baby, what I did to their little baby sister. You know, you think I'd make amends just to her. My sponsor said, oh no. Does she have any siblings? I'm like, I don't think so. He's here, I know her. Because when she was with me, their family was terrified. And I went back and I cleaned all that up and my relationships changed. But I think why I'm still here, if there's anything I've done right, and I don't do much right. Like if I'm gut level honest, I really don't. The one thing that I've continued to do, I'm persistent and consistent at, is I've always had, even through COVID, found myself at a table with a new guy. I don't know how that happened. It's not my plan. I never asked for that. I never prayed for a sponsee to come into my life. I didn't want him. It just happened. And thank God it happened. You know, I was very prejudiced. You know, if everybody, you know, I was locked up. I don't jail well. I just don't. And I remember my first hour in jail. It was lunchtime. I had an iced tea, and I got beat up pretty good over that iced tea. And I became very prejudiced while in there. God has a very beautiful sense of humor. The first guy that asked me to help him was a black guy who had cerebral palsy. We literally had to throw him in the back of my truck, like literally, get in the back of the truck, right? And because he couldn't walk, he had the walkers, and I fell in love with that guy. He lit me up. He stayed sober for a minute. Then me and my buddy Vic were driving down Kensington Avenue, and we see one of them hover-rounds, like one of them carts, motorized carts. So we picked it through the back of my truck, and we fixed it all up for him. They did like 30 miles an hour. Vic souped it up. He was flying around. He was flying around Frankfurt Avenue, going to meetings, and then one day, I didn't hear from him. He called me every day, and one day he didn't call me. And I said, I don't know, I don't think Ray's gone. So I went down Kensington Avenue, and there's a drug dealer sitting on that hover-round. And I've never seen Ray again. I heard his mom did reach out to me. He lasted another month, and he passed away. He died of overdose. And it broke my heart. And that's when I knew this AA thing's for real. I never had, my grandpop died, both my grandmoms died. Just once. My bosses think I had like 13 grandmoms. And didn't feel nothing. Nothing. You know. And I tell you what, the other day I was out with my friends, and I hate to say that, this analogy, I even hate it. A guy working through the 12 steps is working with this guy through the 12 steps, right? So we're out golfing, and he's there. Listen, if you want to, anytime you want to go golfing, let's just go golfing. I'm on a full tight budget, and he's like, dude, I got you. And I said, nah. He said, dude, sometimes you got to accept help. If you want to do something, I said, nah, dude, Rick, it'll be my honor. Let's go. I want to talk to you anyway about AA stuff. So, all right. So we pull up to the golf course, and I'm sitting in the car, and someone wraps their arm around my neck, and it's my nephew. And he's in from California. I haven't seen him. I'm like, holy shit. He said, yeah, I know he's getting married in September. His girlfriend, his fiance, her dad is, that might be one person I would want to be. He owns like 5 country clubs, and he owns like 4 hotels, 6 nightclubs, half of Long Island. I might want to be him for a day. And he's getting married out in Long Island, but I didn't know. I said, what do you? No one told me you were coming into town. He said, yeah, we're going away for my bachelor party tonight. I think it was Wednesday. I don't know what day it was. And I said, what? He said, you don't drink. I said, so? It's okay. I can still go with you. He said, nah, you don't want to go on this one. I said, all right. And the guy I'm with, Goff, and Saul, my whole family, all my nephews, and my brother-in-law together, who weren't part of my life 8 years ago. None of them. I wasn't there for none of the graduations, high school baseball, high school football. They were all star athletes. Never went to one of the games. I went to all the Little League games before I turned to drugs and alcohol. But in the important years, the proms, never there. And he said to me, not knowing, he said, you probably wouldn't have went anyway. That's my MO. I always want to be invited. I'm not going though. Anybody else get like that? I get butthurt when I don't get invited. I had no intentions of going, so I don't know why I'm butthurt. Right? And he got to see that, and we're out there golfing. He's like, dude, that was an amazing experience I just witnessed. To me, it was just my family, nuts. And then he got to see that. I think that's what this is about. Having a home group, we get to see people get well. If I don't go to the same meetings and see people get well, I'm not going to have any faith that this works. I started to make the same meeting. That's why the Doylestown Saturday meeting is just part of my heart. Very small group, but we're tight. There's some raw sharing that goes on in there. The Wednesday night Stones meeting, my home group, it's a small meeting, but there is some honest sharing. There's some girls, some guys there that share that are from the heart, and they're in tears. Some of them are happy, some of them painful. And it's good. When the meetings are real big, no one wants to talk about their defects and their shortcomings and their failings and their brokenness. My brokenness is what lets the light in. And we're afraid to talk about it. And if I don't admit that I'm wounded, I'm never going to heal. This time around, my sponsor asked me one question not too long ago. He said, where's it hurt at? Everywhere. It hurts everywhere. I just lost both my parents, come and have another failed relationship. I bought a house I can't afford. I'm hurting. If I deny that, I'm never going to get well. And he said, what's keeping you up at night? Let's talk about that. And in them home groups, we talk about what keeps us up at night. So that's what brings us together. That's what brings me together with the new guy, sharing those common problems and having common solutions, knowing that I'm not different. It closes the separation gap between me and you, and we're all the same. No super sober. We don't get so spiritual where our heads don't lie to us. What's my head lying to me about? That's what I need to share with my sponsor. What story is this telling me that I'm believing that's going to make me act out? That's why we have sponsors. Every day isn't great for me. If it is for you, I'm cheering for you. Some days are awesome, then it's awful. Some days are very plain, and some days are very exciting. But through it all, nothing changes. We keep doing the same things. I keep doing the same things that I was taught to do in the first year of my sobriety, which when everything was great. I was just so happy to be alive. It was wonderful. Then life shows up, 11 years sober. And I caught the not changing right here. I need to change. And I don't think I need to change once. I need to change a lot and more and grow and evolve. And with you guys, I can't do this alone. Anything good in my life is because of you guys. Peace, guys. Thanks for letting me share.
My name's Nick. I'm an alcoholic. Some powerful stuff. Let's have another round of applause for Rick. It's customary for us to form a line and thank our speaker. They come in their own time and expense. Just a quick announcement. Please try to stay out of the kitchen area. Most of the stuff in there is the church's stuff, so just limit to the stuff that's on the counter there. So thank you for that. And with that, we have a nice way of closing. A moment of silence, followed by the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,